Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the show Spring Sports on Western Spring Television, where we give you stories making headlines in the ever-busy world of sports. Yesterday's loss was Leeds United's only second heaviest defeat in the history of the Premier League, and Liverpool's 40-away victory this season made it a rout yesterday over Leeds United. And Jurgen Klopp has a lot to say after what he described as a spectacular victory for Liverpool. My name is Joseph Atewa saying good morning. And
I tell you for sure, it was quite an embarrassing moment to be a fan of Leeds United, most especially at Elland Road yesterday, where Liverpool got a massive victory 6-1 against them. Now we'll move over to the local scene and talk about the fact that the unruly behavior and misconduct of some fans have led the NNL to splash out huge amount of fines to two clubs. I am Nengi Ernest Ademola, and thanks for joining us this morning. Joseph, we'll start off from the local scene and talk about the NNL. Yes, we'll start from the local scene and talk about the NNL here, where we know that the NNL hammer has fallen on a Smart FC. And this says the Nigerian National League has imposed the sum of 3.5 million naira and 3 points and 3 goals deduction on Lagos-based football outfit Smart City as a fine for breaching various series of the NNL rule during their match day 5 encounter in the Southern Conference Group B2 with Gateway Football at the Dikpo Dino Stadium in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State on Sunday. And just to add to that, now, like I said before, there were 2 clubs that were fined by the NNL. Now, supporters of Crown Football Club of Ogbomoso had to stay away from the Sawon Township Stadium, Ogbomoso, home ground of the club, for their next 3 home matches in the Nigerian National League. That's the NNL. Now, this follows their unruly behavior and violent conduct during the matchday 5 fixture in Southern Conference B2 tie with visiting Ijebu United, which ended 1-1 on Saturday. Crown are also to pay the fine, the sum of 2 million naira for the ungovernable conduct of their fans. Now, the disruptive behavior of Crown FC supporters allegedly led to the match commissioner rescheduling the match next day. The breach by the supporters were against Article 16, 2.4 and 14.1 of the governing rules of the NNL. In a summary jurisdiction, the NNL therefore ruled that Crown shall strictly play without their fans in the next 3 home matches, and pay the sum of 1 million naira for the missiles thrown onto the pitch of play by its supporters. And aside that, another 1 million naira for deliberate acts of intimidation and harassment of match officials by their supporters. Now, Crown FC trail Ijebu United in 3rd place in Group B2. Sporting Lagos, Ijebu United and Crown have the same 8 points, but Ijebu is in 2nd place following goals scored, while Sporting Lagos are in pole position with a superior plus 2 goals at the end of the NNL first stanza. And also to add to that, Crown has been given a 48 hours ultimatum to appeal to the summary jurisdiction ruled out. Joseph, another act of violence been seen this time around in the NNL. Well, of course, and that's what we've been saying. And, well, it's a good one because the IMC, I believe, controls every of this league. And do not forget, the media stand clear that they were going to lay their hammer on whoever goes against the simple rules that has been laid down by the body. And this is one we have seen in the NNL. We've also seen a lot of them in the NPFL during the course of the season. And this is from the IMC. It means that something is working. They find, what's the name right now? Smart City at 3.5 million. And a 3-point deducted. And of course, is it 3 games or 1 game out of that now? So it makes sense this way. You see, as time goes on, you see that club will sit up and they will know how to address their fans and make them behave in a ruly way and not unruly, because this is what has been the order of the day in the Nigeria Premier Football League, and most especially in the NNL. In the NNL, they don't even get sanctions. All they get is warnings. You get excuses like the clubs are not that financially buoyant to pay the fines. And I say to them, if you're not,
then why come into the league? So it's a good one from the IMC, and hopefully we get more of this so that they can learn a lesson.
Now, just in my own humble opinion now, judging from the fact that, of course, we do not have any perfect league in the world all over. Sometimes even in the English Premier League, you have forced to talk about some of the controversies rocking it and all of that. Now, judging from that now, sometimes you want to sit and think about what is going on in the NLO down to the NNL and of course the Nigerian Premier Football League, that's the NPFL. And you think about this over time, you think about this over and over again, and you, at the end of the day, you just find out that you're shaking your head due to some of the things that are being ruled out in our league. That's the 3 major league, even down to the NWFL, that's the Nigerian Women Football League. And you, at the end of the day, you'll be confused because you want to place fairness in both things. You want to balance up things, but sometimes you find it difficult to be able to balance up things. Now, sometimes I feel like some of this fines that have been given to the team, just like Crown FC now. Three home banned, their players, sorry, their fans are banned from the stadium for 3 home games, and also they've been fined with 2 million naira. And you want to look at this particular one because what happened right there is very terrible. I think a referee was even slapped when it concerns the Crown FC case. Very, very terrible, and we condemn that act, most especially in the NNL. Now, you look at that and you want to say that this particular one, the disciplinary action handed over to them is a bit soft. And also, according to the news, it's also written that Crown has been given a 48 hours ultimatum to appeal to the summary jurisdiction ruled out. What exactly are they appealing for? What exactly do they want to appeal about? When these things were glaring, when investigations are currently carried out, and when you saw these things, I mean, it was just there, it was glaring that this particular match official and the rest of the people were abused, you know. I mean, it's something that even at workplaces, I mean, if you offend and it is glaring, they give you a query to answer, even if suspension will come in, but then you and I know the rules. So it's a norm that when something like this happens, they give them a listening ear. Come say you're part of the story, your own side of the story, regardless that we understand that the rules are the rules. So you come in, state part of your story, but because we have video evidences and, you know, we've seen these things times without number, it means that the appeal might now see the 3-match reduced to 1, the 2.5 million reduced to 1.5 million, going because, I mean, you must have triggered something before you get this. So they will also hear their own part. So that's the appeal. They were appealed, exactly. Not that it will be overturned totally. Even in the Premier League, you see players, you know, push referees and they're being fined. And of course, they'll still go on appeal. And definitely, just to be fair, yeah, definitely that's what is rightly said to be carried out. And aside from that, Joseph, let's talk about the fact that some of these agitated fans, I think some of the agitated players at the end of the day, you see them being agitated. It's because of 1 or 2 errors that the referees have carried out in the game, and that leads to the whole violent conduct and all of that. But sometimes you see that the referees are being handled softly. Meanwhile, the heavy armor of the NNL or the IMC falls on the club. I mean, at this point in time, don't you think that referees, if at all it is investigated and it is the fault from the referees, don't you think that the hammer should fall mightily on the referee instead of the club?
Well, you and I have stated here, we sat here some months ago and we talked about what the IMC, the referee committee, is doing. They suspended some referees, so it means that they have a body which is also rotting. Ignorance, as they say, is not an excuse in the court of law. So for the players, they know these rules, and if they are aggrieved, if they have their complaints, they should have been
written
to the appropriate authority, and the videos will be watched and see if something truly went wrong. The fact that you have taken law into your hands, there's no case here. Even if they do the investigation, the referee might be warned, of course, or maybe sanctioned, but the fine will still stand. The match deduction, the point deduction rather, will still stand. Fans not coming into the stadium will still stand. So, I mean, you see, they're not professional enough, in my own opinion, because you watch some of these leagues. Yes, you have it once in a while, but you see sometimes, you see the players control themselves because they know the fine that will come to play. Mitrovic has been fined, is it 250? No, it's Mane that was fined 250,000 pounds. So, of course, you understand, they know the huge fine that comes with that. And so next, I want to agree with you on the part where you said maybe some of these fines and, you know, sanctions are too soft. Deduct 9 points, make it look hard for them so that things like this doesn't happen. They were speaking to what's the right now, the chairman of football of Wiki Tories, and he said that They did their best to have deployed 30 police officers to a stadium of 30,000. So some of these things need to be checked in, because things like this rather will still happen, and God forbid.
What if it leads to somebody's death? Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. And some of these things should be actually watched. And you talk about the fact that Bayern's, what's his name now, Sadio Mane, has been fined £260,000. Now, this is somebody who knows the rule, but then let his emotions get the better part of him in that particular match.
But as a professional, that did not happen on the pitch. It happened right at the back.
Right, yeah, in the dressing room. But then you look at our fans. They know the rules. They know the regulations. They know what has been placed before them, but then at the end of the day, it seems very difficult to be able to handle them.
Well, some of the ones you see in the UK, you know, are that they call it pitch encroachments that come out to encroach pitches, and sometimes do that for some stunts on the social media handle. You see that they either have a reason for doing that. Some, they believe they must have taken the bet, and some is to make them more popular. But in Nigeria, you just see that anything happens because majority of the fans, without due respect to them, are illiterates. A lot of them, you go to stadiums in Nigeria, they cannot even pronounce the name of a player very well. All they're after is for you to push the ball and let them shout
Make sure
goal.
You score. If you lose,
yeah, they do not understand the rules that comes with playing football. Look at yesterday, Leeds United were beaten 6-1, and they interviewed some of the fans, and they said we did not play well. Do you understand? They didn't blame the referee. They said we did not play well, but you don't get it because, see, with all due respect, as I said earlier, they are more educated. Well, English, of course, is their language. But here you have illiterates who do not understand what the game stands for, and, you know, encroach pitches. And that's because we do not even have enough police officers to guard our stadiums. I mean, for a stadium of 60,000, you need at least, say, 10,000 police officers. But where would you see 10,000?
I mean, we do not even prioritize security when it comes to most of our local league matches. So you would understand why you were not even seeing enough police officers.
I mean, if you call one of those guys, you can see on your screen and ask him, maybe in Yoruba, and ask him, why are you attacking the referee? What did the referee do? I'm sure would not be able to explain to you
himself,
what is happening. So they need proper sensitization, but for how long? I think when the jail term is introduced, because with these videos, you can identify some of these fans. If they spend 5-6 years behind bars, I'm not talking about cells in police station, they take them to prison, their sentence, or sentence years, to serve as a deterrent to others, because enough is enough.
Exactly, enough is enough. And we've talked very heavily on this particular time, because definitely it's a very major controversy that is rocking our local scene, and we have to talk about it. Always have to talk about it, and let's hope to see that some of these measures will be taken, most especially for the fans. Maybe there needs to be more sensitization, more awareness of the rules to these fans in order to curb this unruly behavior and misconduct. Now let's move away from that one, Joseph. Let's talk about the Under-17 AFCON. Now the CAF Executive Committee has approved the recommendations made by the Organizing Committee for Youth Football and the Medical Committee to amend Article 27 of the regulations of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations, in particular relating to eligibility test. Now, the question of age comes up repeatedly in African competitions, and especially during the last Under-20 AFCON that was held in Egypt. Now, to do without all these controversies, CAF has taken firm measures about the age of the players who will have to take part in the African Cup of Nations Under-17 since the qualifying phase. Now, let me quote a part of their statement. For the qualifying phase, an eligibility test will be carried out for all participating teams before the start of the matches. Now, the test will be carried out by the CAF Protocol in Health Establishment equipped with an MRI. And for the final tournament, CAF reserves the right to make another eligibility test for the players of the 12 teams. The cost of the MRI scan test will be borne by the CAF. That's a continental body, and that's what they said in a press release yesterday. And just to talk about this a little bit, Joseph, we do understand that age fraud definitely has rocked most of this age grade competition. I think, for example, what we had being displayed in Fecafoot, I think what that was last year or early part of this year, age fraud and all of that. And I think this is a very right step. You talk about the fact that they need to carry out this eligibility test on all the players, not excluding the Flying Eagles.
It is rampant in Africa for one reason. You look at some of the countries that represent that come for these competitions, the Under-17. I'm not saying they don't cheat, but I mean, you look at them and say they're pretty young. And check their profiles. I mean, the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years, these guys will still be playing active football. Do not forget under 17. So at 10 years to say they were 16 or 17, maybe 27, you still find them playing active football. That's because the economy there is working. Football is not an escape route for them. If you know how to play football, they take you to an academy. It's a talent. It's something they discover over there.
To be groomed.
But you see, in Africa, the reason why you've seen us won the under-17 African Cup of Nations as a country, Nigeria now, 5 times, the under-20 finals twice. But when it comes to the main competition, our best stage has been the second round, if I'm correct here. And that is because we have told a lie, a huge one, from the start. In talking about terms of age grade competitions, they've always forced away. But you won't blame these guys too. Football for many Africans is an escape route to wealth. So that's why you see some players, you see like from Udo, for example, who played in Nigeria. Many of these guys who play, what they want to do is go to clubs like Zamalek. In Zamalek, you earn $5,000 per week. In a month, you've gotten $20,000. You know what that means here? So he's not even looking at getting to the Messi level. He's not looking at getting to the Ronaldo's level. He just wants something to be able to take care of his family. Exactly. So you go back to the economy in Africa generally, has forced a lot of people to lie. So, for example, if I'm 29, all I need to do is barb my hair, take off all this, do you understand? Yeah. I can still go for the under-20. And when I'm showcasing myself there, do you understand? One club sees me, gives me 18,000 pounds per week. That is more than enough, do you understand? I've left poverty. So I'm no longer chasing the Ronaldo standard. That is why it is difficult for you to see African teams, get to the semi-finals or the final of the World Cup. And some of the teams that will even get there, check it, these are foreign-based players that have come back home, who has gotten the exposure to come help their team to move forward. You understand what I mean? So it will continue to happen to Africa, except, see, they say that's the difference, it is football. If your economy is not running well, people will always look for an escape route. Exactly, and that's it. Now, aside from that, let's also add that if after performing the eligibility test for a participating team, or more of its 4 or more of its players are found to be ineligible, the entire participating team will be disqualified. And of course, that is what no team prays about. Now, if after having carried out the eligibility tests for a participating team, 1, 2, or 3 of its players prove ineligible, the players will not be allowed to participate in the competition. And aside that, their team will be allowed to participate in the competition, but will not be allowed to replace the ineligible players. That's what the CAF statement actually read concerning this particular issue. All right, away from that, the draws for the 2023 Under-20 Men and Women's West African Football Union, that's the WAFUB, have been conducted. The draws, which were conducted on Monday afternoon, consist of 17 countries, including Nigeria, and both Nigeria under-20 and 20 women's teams were placed in Group B. According to the women's draw, Nigeria's Falconets will host Lockhorns against Niger, Burkina Faso and Togo, while Group A consists of Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and host Ghana. For the Flying Eagles of Nigeria will also compete in Group B with Benin Republic and Togo, while Group A consists of the host Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and Niger. The women's competition will take place in Ghana from the 20th of May to the June, while the men's tournament is fixed for the 7th of July to the 31st, 2023 in Ivory Coast. All the best to the Falconers, definitely placed in Pool B that has the likes of Niger, Burkina Faso and Togo. I tell you for sure that with time, even if some of these countries are not really good in age grade football, I tell you that with time they are coming up and they're pumping up very good in terms of this age grade competition. But I wish all the Falconers the best, because definitely they've been able to make us proud. All's fair. And of course, to the under-20 boys, definitely Benin and Togo are themes that they can be able to handle. So we'll see how things pans out to be for them. All we do hope for is a success for the under-20 WAFUB tourney. All right, to move on quickly and talk about Argentina. They have replaced Indonesia. It is confirmed. We told you a fortnight ago that Indonesia will be replaced by Argentina, and that has been confirmed by the organizers right now, talking about FIFA. They've replaced Indonesia with Argentina, so they are to host the Under-20 World Cup. So all road leads to Bruno Eyes at the moment. Exactly, and Argentina will host the Under-20 World Cup from May 20th to June 11th. Now, FIFA said this yesterday after taking the tournament from Indonesia just weeks before kickoff. Now, having been awarded hosting rights, Argentina will also participate in Indonesia's place, because
because a team had failed to qualify on merit. I think it's a very nice one for them, giving them this open opportunity. They should be able to make proper use of this. Now, FIFA withdrew hosting rights from Indonesia last month after protests against Israel's participation in the tournament. And Indonesia and Israel do not have formal diplomatic relations, and support for the Palestinian cause in the world's most populous Muslim majority nations runs high. Of course, definitely this is the same thing we saw, I think, for the CHAN 2022, where Morocco had to boycott that particular competition, all in the name of the fact that them and Algeria, they do not have these diplomatic relations and support for each other.
Definitely. All right, we move away from that with a few days to the first leg of the quarterfinal of the CAF Confederations Cup against Young African over Tanzania. The Commissioner for Sport in Rivers State, Barrister Chris Green, has confirmed that the inspection team of the African Football Governing Body have been expected for a re-inspection of the stadium. The inspection was in Port Harcourt at the Adokia Mass Market Stadium a few days ago, as Rivers United are eager to return home after playing their group stage at the adopted Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. Uyo, Barrister Chris Green made the confirmation while speaking to reporters late on Monday evening. He said, and I quote, CAF told us they will send another team to come inspect the stadium, and that is rather are going to take another time.
And of course, we did talk to the media officer of Rivers United, and definitely they've not done bad playing at the Uyo Stadium, but then there's this advantage that comes with them playing at the Adokia Miesimaka Stadium, of course, which we do hope that will be approved at the end of the day, so that they can take on their opponents for the quarterfinals. But then at the 12th man advantage and the way the crowd is going to pull in to that particular stadium, I think it's going to be an added advantage for us. So we do hope for the best, and not just talking about the stadium inspection alone. Whatsoever the case may be, probably they might play at the Adokia Miesimaka Stadium in Port Harcourt, or use still the Nest of Champions, that's the stadium in Uyo. Whatever the case might be at the end of the day, boys just have to be professional about this, because no one saw that we're going to reach the quarterfinals of this particular CAF Confederation Cup. So they should be able to take on their opponents no matter the ground where they find themselves, and do us proud in that one. And just to add to that, concerning the Under-20 World Cup, Indonesia was stripped, just like we told you earlier on, of the hosting rights. The football governing yesterday announced Friday 21st April as the draw date in Zurich, Switzerland, the headquarters of FIFA. And 24 nations, including Nigeria, have secured the spot in the biennial competition, and they will be drawn into 6 groups of 4 teams. Now, Flying Eagles qualified for the tournament after they finished third in the 2023 Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Egypt. So we'll wait the draws come on Friday.
You're still watching Spring Sports on Western Spring Television. We're going to break here and give you highlights from some of the matches that were played yesterday in different leagues across Europe. Liverpool put 6 past their opponents in Leeds United at Elland Road. We'll be back.